Ah,
Ah,
good to see you. Good to see you.
good to see you, Molly. And we did it at 11 o'clock. How amazing.
Mhm. We're on time. Fantastic. So it's
Um,
a bit different one this morning, isn't it? So we are going to be answering a few questions. We don't jump on for very long, but if anybody's got any questions, please do ask. Put them in the comments. But it's Baby Loss Awareness Week this week. Is it the 9th to the 15th? Is that the
yes.
official? Yeah. So just to be mindful that we'll be talking a little bit about baby loss for anyone who doesn't want to kind of be involved in that conversation. But Amina, so you're in a cupboard in an office at the moment. So you're up at Tommy's headquarters, aren't you?
I am. I'll hold up my Tommy's regalia. There we go.
Could you tell us a little bit about what you do at Tommy's? Because obviously we both work as
Yes.
midwives, but you do additional work for Tommy's, which is a charity, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. So I'm the midwifery manager at Tommy's, and I manage a service. So Tommy's, for people who don't know about it, is the UK's largest pregnancy research charity that looks into the causes of baby loss, making pregnancy safer for everyone. So it funds lots of research into how we can stop the devastation of pregnancy and baby loss. So from miscarriage to stillbirth to premature birth to neonatal death, but also at the same time looking at making the pregnancy journey safer for everyone. And my role as a Tommy's midwife is to provide people with support and information. So I come from a background of bereavement midwifery. For anyone who hasn't experienced that, that is sadly when a baby dies during pregnancy or soon after birth. So different terms are used to explain baby loss and pregnancy loss, and people will use their own language, but sometimes refer to a stillbirth or a pregnancy loss or preterm birth or a late miscarriage. So that's kind of what my role is. We run a support line at Tommy's where people can contact and get advice on any part of their pregnancy journey. And then we offer also specialist support lines for women and birthing people from Black and Black mixed heritage backgrounds to ensure that we're addressing, as we sadly know, the Embrace report came out this week as well, Marley, and I'm sure I know you're very well versed in that. That sadly, even in 2024, that Black women are at higher risk, 3.7 times higher risk of poorer outcomes in their pregnancy journey and also of stillbirth rates as well. So that's kind of what my role is. Baby Loss Awareness Week is a week in the calendar to raise awareness of baby loss and pregnancy loss, and for people who've been affected by it to either be able to talk about their experiences, because sometimes it's quite a taboo subject and people don't want to talk about it, so it's to take away that taboo. But it can be a really, really hard week if you have experienced loss yourself,
Mm.
because it can feel like it's everywhere. And
Yeah, especially on
I
social media.
Yes, absolutely. And
Mm.
I always say to people, I say in all the information we're doing this week at Tommy's, where we're very heavily involved in Baby Loss Awareness Week, is that it's really important to be kind to yourself. You don't have to engage with it. Baby Loss Awareness Week is for others to engage with. So if you've experienced a loss, either recently or a while ago, and it's a hard week for you, you're not expected to carry
Mm.
that and educate people on it. You can switch off. You can just say, I'm going to mark it in my own way, or you don't have to mark it. It's a time to you that the burden isn't upon you to have to do that. It's for the rest of us, like you and me, to be able to talk about it and to say that there are people in the communities that we support who might be affected by it. Particularly, I think when we're talking about antenatal education and antenatal support, I definitely find that when we're doing the live classes, there's a number of people who have joined who are pregnant after a loss, and sometimes we'll find that really hard to be able to talk about that in something like an antenatal class,
Mm.
but we both know with mental health, with well-being, just finding out a little bit more information. And when I'm doing those classes, we will bring that conversation up and be able to kind of, make sure that we're able to support people that way too.
It's good actually that you mentioned, about the week, and it's not necessarily there's no obligation for those who have gone through a lot to involve themselves if they don't want to, because I see a lot of people. I mean, obviously, this whole week I've seen lots of posts. I think I put a post up this morning,
Yeah.
And was very mindful of when I did it, because obviously my feed, I'm seeing hundreds and hundreds of posts. So part of me was thinking, oh, is this just going to be another one? Which is why I kind of geared it in the direction of other people, in terms of being mindful around those who has lost a baby, and how to approach it, because some people don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. They don't know whether they should say something or not say something, and that's why I guess there is no right or wrong way,
Yeah.
but just kind of take the lead of the parents, and
Yes.
if they want to talk with them. If they don't, then you don't have to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's a very difficult and sensitive subject, and difficult for people to navigate as well.
I think so. I think it could be really hard to for everyone involved to kind of know, should I bring this up or not? And
Mm,
I always say it depends on your personal relationships with people. If people have
mm,
shared with you, if it's been relatively recent, it's worthwhile just sending a message saying, hope you're okay. I know this week might be difficult for you, and that it's often more often than not, people actually just need support and solutions, and they just need to know that you've acknowledged their loss. They might not want to talk about it, and if they don't, that's absolutely okay as well. But like you say,
mm,
it can sometimes feel like, especially if this is the kind of area you're involved in, birth work, talking about pregnancy, that this week definitely can feel like, it's coming up everywhere.
mm,
And if you're pregnant, it can be really frightening too as well. It can be really frightening to kind of go, oh gosh, if you've never experienced a loss, it is absolutely understandable that this week can be really hard for people who are pregnant
yeah.
too. Um,
It's hard
so I
to get
think
that
one of
balance,
the things,
isn't it?
yeah,
For
yeah,
us as well. It can be tricky to kind of get that balance, because
yes,
we want to educate people without
yes,
scaring people, but
exactly,
we want to be
yeah,
truthful and honest. And even like things like the stats
yeah,
of early miscarriage, are much higher than what people probably think they are. A lot of early miscarriages probably go undetected, because
yes,
they may happen well before someone even realizes that they're pregnant, and some people don't report them at all. It does happen, but we say these things to pass information, not
yes.
to kind of scare people,
Well,
and it's all about signposting
yeah,
to research.
and I think it's really important if you are pregnant, and hopefully your pregnancy is absolutely healthy, but also
Mm,
what to look out for. So things like, depending on where you are in your pregnancy, very rightly as you mentioned, if you're in early pregnancy and you're experiencing any spotting or bleeding, you need to get help. Don't let anyone sort of say to you, oh, that's absolutely normal. You need to get help with that. So if you're in later pregnancy, every midwife will say to you the importance of always monitoring your baby's movements. And if you notice a change in that, you need to get help, because we know that sometimes babies' movements are a really good indication of you need help to reduce the rate of stillbirth. So it's important to be aware of it. It's not to frighten you. It it is just to make sure that actually you've got all the information to get the right help at the right time from the right people when you need it as well.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, so with Tommy's and the work you do at Tommy's, is it more kind of focused on those who are experiencing miscarriage or stillbirth, or what about those who tragically experience a neonatal loss?
Yes.
What,
So it a lot of the people we support and talk to are about regarding miscarriage, regarding stillbirth. We don't speak to a lot of people regarding neonatal death, and often that is because hopefully we're hoping that they're getting the right support there. But people can contact us
mm,
at any aspect of their pregnancy journey. So it it you know it it doesn't matter where you are in that journey, or actually even when your loss, how long ago your loss happened. most people might have seen recently in the news that the baby loss certificates have again sort of, this particularly this Blue Week, people are talking about it, and actually at Tommy's we've been contacted by people who experienced a loss 20-30 years ago, weren't able to talk about it because, as we've already discussed, it was such a taboo subject and people were expected to just never speak about it and carry on with it. And
Get up and
actually,
move on.
and actually 30 years later their grief is still there, and actually they want that loss to be acknowledged in that way. So it's about reaching out and speaking to people, if you need to, and again, if you are pregnant and this week is hard for you because it's making you feel anxious or feeling worried. I'm also very conscious it's World Mental Health Day, and there's a lot of talking about mental health kind of going on as well. If you are feeling anxious, if you are feeling worried, you can reach out and speak to, speak to your midwife, bring that conversation up as well, because sometimes it's just the reason the anxiety and the worry is there is because you don't have enough information. And I think both of us, when we're doing things like the classes, we find that a lot that people will bring questions into the class that they've been worrying about or feeling anxious about, but feeling like they can't bring it up with their midwifery team at that point, and just want to kind of go, I always start off every class by kind of going, there's no silly question, there's no question that it is not allowed here. Every question is absolutely valid, and if you're thinking it, someone else is probably thinking it at the same time too. And having that space, I think that's the really nice thing about the kind of interactiveness of the classes, to be able to just kind of go, let's talk about this. Sometimes it will derail things and I'll be 2 hours into a 1 hour class, but it's great to be able to give people that kind of interactive support, and be able to just kind of make sure that those questions that sometimes you feel it's hard to bring up in an antenatal appointment when how stretched the service can be, I always say go and speak to your midwife about it as well, but where we can support with that as well. And I know you do a lot of stuff on social media supporting people with that too, Marley.
No, absolutely. I think like with the classes, because they're live, they're online, some people might feel more comfortable talking about it through a screen rather than being kind of face to face as well. So there's a bonus there. And going back to something you said a few minutes ago about speaking to people who have had losses, stillbirths, miscarriages, years ago, many years ago. It's interesting because actually a friend of mine I don't know if she's still on here, but she left a comment, and she lost two little boys 18, 19 years ago, and she says that it's still raw. It doesn't just disappear with time, or you don't just get over it. It's still there. Life has to go on.
Yes.
Especially if you then go on to have more children, life goes on, but you don't forget. And I think even if it's been years since you've experienced a loss, it's nice to be able to know that there's someone to talk to and somewhere to go. I did actually put a list of pages, organisations and charities in the post that I put up this morning. Some that help with research into preventing premature births, which can subsequently help to improve morbidity and mortality rates. Some that help support people who've had miscarriages, who have had stillbirths, and I think anyone who's been through that should have access to all of these resources, should they need them. And some people might be like, well, I don't need anything right now, but then something might come up a year down the line, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, where they need support. And it's often pregnancy, isn't it? It's often someone who's had experienced a loss, then they become pregnant 2 years later, a year or 2 or 3 years later, and then the anxiety and the worry comes back again. And it's great that the work you guys do at Tommy's, that they're able to kind of access that.
And I think the more we as midwives, the more as we speak about this, the more people feel comfortable, hopefully being able to say that. I can see in the comments that Shantae Adams has said, you know, I've had 3 miscarriages, and I'm worried, and I'm almost sure I'm pregnant now, which is a very real thing. You know, we know that in that very early pregnancy period, you're not seeing anyone. You're not, you know, until 8 weeks, you don't see, you know, your midwife usually. And actually, who do you go to talk about these things? Where do you raise the I'm feeling really worried? So, you know, I would say to someone like Shantae Adams, you know, go and speak to your GP, let them know that you're worried. If with a history of recurrent miscarriage, which at the moment in the NHS is, you know, 3 miscarriages or more, speak to your GP, let them know how you're feeling. They might be able to offer you some additional support. They might refer you to somewhere like an early pregnancy unit for, you know, reassurance scans. So a scan that's just there before your 12-week scan. It's, you know, the way services are vary from area to area, but it's definitely worth exploring that. You don't have to just navigate this really early pregnancy time, which feels that, you know, I always kind of say the weeks feel like years in themselves, because you're just counting to let me get to this milestone, let me get to that milestone. Being able to get that help, knowing that you're not alone, is really, really important. And making sure that you feel comfortable enough to kind of go to your GP and say, I think I need help with this, because there are ways of finding ways of supporting you through it, whether it's speaking to someone, whether it's offering you talking therapies, or whether, like I say, it's practical things of saying, you know, can we support you with trying to get you an early pregnant, what we call a reassurance scan, which is a scan before your 12-week scan, just to kind of give you that support, is really important too.
So, and what at what stage would somebody perhaps be referred for more investigation? So, I'm sure it used to be like after 3 miscarriages, which is a lot, and it's a lot to go through.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, is it still the same now? Is
So
that the guideline?
it is unfortunately the guidelines at the moment in NHS, broadly speaking, that after
Mm.
3 miscarriages or after 1 late miscarriage, you would be referred for kind of more specialist care. So a late miscarriage is kind of happening after 14 weeks, for that loss to have happened after around 14 to 16 weeks. It varies from area to area, so it's always worthwhile finding out what's happening locally. Some areas will offer tests and treatments and investigations after 2 miscarriages, and you know, that's why it's really important to kind of find out what's happening locally, and your GP should be the best person to be able to advise on that. But yes, unfortunately, at the moment as it stands, and it is something at Tommy's that we you know, acknowledge and know is really, really hard, and we campaign a lot on trying to get that people should be supported straight after 1 miscarriage. Nobody should be told, well, you've got to have another loss and then another loss before we can offer you any help. So, you know, if you've had a miscarriage and you're thinking, but I had no tests or treatments done, nobody saw me, you know, what does that mean? If you go to the Tommy's website, we've got lots of information on there about what you can, again, ask of your GP, of the early pregnancy unit, if you've been seen at 1 after 1 miscarriage, after 2 and after 3.
And you know, trauma-informed care as well is something that we try to promote and offer as much as possible as midwives. So don't ever feel that you can't talk about past experiences and concerns about, you know, your current experiences or pregnancies. So I just wanted to finish actually, because I think we've been on for about 20 minutes. I don't think there's any questions that have come in as such.
No, we've had lots of really lovely thank yous and support, which, you know, I think again highlights, because I think as midwives, we're often worried that we're going to bring this topic up and it's going to really upset people. So thank you for all the people sending, you know, the hearts and the thank yous, because it's good to know that we're reaching out and actually talking about this is helpful and supportive for people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why it's important to kind of mention it from the off, that this is what we're going to be talking about today. But yeah, I think just to sort of leave on a note to say there is support out there. There is organisations. Like I said, I've listed quite a few on my post. You can join us in any of our live and online antenatal classes. And you know, Amina and the other midwives will be around to answer any of your questions that you might have.
Yep.
You know, I mean, you can email us or you know, send a message if you want to, if you have anything that you perhaps can't think of right now, but
Yep.
perhaps at a later date. And as always, we'll pop this video on the grid. So again, if anybody wants to ask any questions or has any comments, then just pop them on the Nowbaby UK page, which is where this video will hopefully be saved when we log off.
Fingers crossed.
Sometimes it doesn't work, but fingers crossed it will. And we'll be back probably not for a few weeks now, because I'm going off on holiday next week. So
a very exciting holiday.
Yes.
So hopefully.
Yes, for a wedding. And so I think we'll probably be doing another live a Q&A session in about 4 weeks' time, I think in November. But if you have a little look on the nowbaby.co.uk website, the date and the time for the next Q&A will be up on there.
Brilliant. Always lovely talking to you, Marley.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for taking part in this session. And yeah, it's.
Well, thank you. Thank you for all the work you do, especially at Tommy's. And I'll leave you to go back and support some more parents.
Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye. Bye.